And so here we go. So it says, Sevan, when speaking about ancestor altars and how the act of giving food offerings has been inverted because the ancestors in the afterlife don't eat, is this applicable with ancestor money? Because you see this a lot in the conscious community with the burning of ancestor money and the claims that it provides current to our ancestors in the afterlife realm. Can you teach on this topic? Now, that is actually a very foreign term, ancestor money. I have actually never heard of that before. So I'm assuming what you're saying is that people burn money to the ancestors. And I haven't actually seen that as a common practice. Maybe in other countries that's a common practice, but generally people try to hold on to their guap. If they're going to do anything, they may spend the 10% on the tithing of whatever they're lying about that they made, which is all ridiculous. But these concepts again of giving something to a being that they don't need is all a part of our idea of giving what we think is important to us. Like in our world, like money and food is important, but in the other world, in the other level of existence, that is something entirely different. Like what money is over there and what food really is over there is something entirely different. And the reality is also, if we wanted to give the equivalent of money or give the equivalent of food to our ancestors, it would actually take place in a meditation. And in those meditations, that's about connecting with the energy and actually fixing what's going on in your environment. And that should be very important today, just setting the pace for all of this, that when you're thinking about spreading your level of not just awareness, but your level of impact, okay? You got to start first in your own space, and you got to start from within. So if you're anxious to get out there and to do something, which, I get that energy. If you start outside, you're going to have to come back in anyway. You're not going to have the impact that you're looking for. This is just facts. So you have to start within, and then you start moving out from there. And then what you're working from is try to make the space that you're working with as small as possible so you don't forget a layer. And so when we go from inside out, especially in these deep meditations, like we have these meditations where we're moving through our internal planetary system, this is functioning very well from starting internally. And then once we start dealing with that, then we start working even once we get to the surface with our skin and our clothes, right? Like all of the knowledge about what it is to do with what we're wearing, our customs, like what are we closing our customs for? Like what is the color that we're actually using and reflecting? Like what are we saying even what we're wearing, right? But that's after you finish expunging and working on things that are going on inside. And then as you go from your clothes, you look into your immediate environment, and now your immediate environment may need some enhancement. And as you start working like that, just methodically, because you started building right from the pillar where things should start, which is here, you'll find that because you're standing on consistent foundations, now you got your room on point. Now you figured out where even north, east, south, west of the room is, right? The feng shui is to control your kundalini, right? It's not just the dragon lines inside of Earth, it's the dragon lines inside of you. So if your room is all like stuff's over here and it's water, fire, the funny part is how things be like set up wrong. And that's kind of crazy. It's like, well, damn, that's exactly what I shouldn't be doing. How did that get over there? And that's all a part of, if our consciousness is not embedding itself in the truth, then we start acting out this falsehood. So that acting out the falsehood starts coming with, again, us giving things that are valuable to us to what we feel like our ancestors. Now, here's another thing. I brought this up before. It was called the ill distribution of the goods committed to your charge. And a lot of people disagreed with this, but it was about giving people money, like homeless people, because this stems directly into this question. That's why I want to bring it up. So I started noticing every time I was giving money away to people that I felt like I was helping, I would get the flux, right? And I had such a refined view on my energetic center, I would literally be able to connect it. I mean, like, man, why every time I'm giving to bums, basically, I'm catching this energetic flux, right? And later on, as I started looking deep into, when you're given something, how it is your responsibility to make sure how you distribute it, I found out that just that act of saying, yo, here's $10 and driving off is much worse than if you just didn't give anything. Rather than actually spending the real time, because time is the only real value. Saying, hey man, you want to go get something to eat? And then it's, oh yeah, man, I want to get you something to eat. I want to get something to eat. Okay, let's go. And then we drive to a place, we sit down, we talk, and then he goes on his way. Maybe I even give him something then based on after figuring out what he's going to do and where he's going with it or she's going with it. So what this means is that it's not just enough to give someone something that is equating to energy, but not know where that energy is going, because I obviously figured out that this guy was taking it and then he was going and buying some alcohol with it, right? Or things that are going to perpetuate him more of going into this vortex that somehow has been created in his space, or that he's created in his space. And so when I'm contributing to that, I'm tying myself into it because I'm actually giving my current. This is all real stuff, okay? So now many people are like the Jupiters of the whole thing. They just got cash all over the place and they just can keep flowing out this abundance and giving it all away and all this kind of stuff. But that's not the standard case for most people. For most people, they can't take too many hits or too many things clinging on them before they're already going back under the water again, or in the red again, as they call it. So, word to the wise, if you're going to give something to someone, you have to think, or to the ancestors, you have to think about what is really valuable to the ancestors. And if we're doing any of this, and this is why the ego could become so dangerous, like if I give $100,000, it's as if and I was just ego, like, yo, like they do it on TV, like he gives $1 million to the school, and he's like over there. And it's like, you might as well really have given nothing, to be honest, and that's what this is about. It's just about truth.